Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and some WWE news. Well, they advertised a dark match for tonight's Raw event. It's John Cena versus CM Punk in a cage match. Raw takes place as my daughter comes in and tries to steal the show. Raw takes place tonight. Well, sit in my lap, baby girl. Raw takes place in Bridgeport, Connecticut at the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard. The show will feature the follow-up to last night's Night of Champions pay-per-view, and the Road to Hell in a Cell match begins. Big Show was featured in the advertising at the arena website and on WWE Live Events listing, but he didn't show up. As well as he was at the pay-per-view, supposedly at the pay-per-view last night, and didn't do anything. Then again, he was, like I said, he was also advertised for a Night of Champions event. Ring of Honor executive producer Jim Cornette turned 51 years old today. He was born on September 17th, 1961. Wow, he's only like 7 years older than me. Bill Irwin, a.k.a. Barney Irwin, turned 58 years old today. He was born September 17th, 1954. Irwin teamed with his late brother, Scott Irwin, and the duo also worked as the Super Destroyers. Irwin also had a short run as a hockey-inspired character, the Goon, back in WWF days in 1996. Baby girl, you wasn't born back in 1996. And that's whenever I left Augusta, Georgia, headed to Texas. Japanese pro wrestling legend Masahiro Chono turned 49 years old today. He was one of the NWO Black and White guys. He was born September 17, 1963. Former pro wrestler Phil LaFon turned 51 on Sunday. He was born September 16, 1961. Ring of Honor wrestler Lance Bravado celebrated his 26th birthday on Sunday. He was born September 16, 1985. WWE personality Teddy Long turned 65 on Saturday, and I missed it, as he's also on my Facebook. And it didn't even say it, that it was his birthday. Well, he was born September 15, 1947. Ring of Honor standout Rhet Titus, a.k.a. Everett Titus, turned 25 on Saturday. During their pay-per-view, he was born on September 15, 1987. Wow. That's the year I graduated high school. NXT Wrestling returns to the Armory in Crystal River, Florida on Saturday, October the 13th, 2012. The Armory in Orlando, Florida on Wednesday, October 24th, 2012. You can go to NXTWrestling.com for more info, and also ProWrestlingEvents.tk for info on upcoming shows. And these are house shows, as they are doing it at the university. WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler has been released from the Montreal hospital after 1 week, suffering from a heart attack last week on Raw. And he was they showed him on Raw tonight, heading on the a blue airplane, kind of looked like WWE airplane, and headed back to Memphis, arriving in Memphis along with the doctor that saved his life. As they did the filming on Raw, they showed it. One can only imagine that the King is looking forward to getting home and sleeping in his own bed again. It's amazing to look back now on how grave the situation seemed early last week compared to all the good news that has spread since then. As covered last night, the cameras caught Randy Orton flipping off some fans during his match with Dolph Ziggler at Night of Champions. Several fans reported notes that during the match, Orton got into a pretty heated argument with some fans. The argument continued after the match, and both sides were said to be very animated. More than one fan reported that Orton told the fan that he would kick his ass after the show. According to an account backstage at tonight's Raw in Bridgeport, Connecticut, John Cena was walking around fine after rolling his ankle last night at Night of Champions. They did show a picture of his ankle, and it was real swollen around the inside of his ankle. As of 4 o'clock p.m. this afternoon, he was scheduled to compete on the show. And he did in the main event, or some sort. That was the tag team main event for Raw. Before the World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio squared off last night at the Night of Champions, SmackDown General Manager Booker T reinstated the Bro Kick, which aided the Celtic Warrior in retaining his title. According to F4W Online, Sheamus is moving on to a new opponent on television as Big Show is scheduled to confront him tonight on Raw. Did not happen. This is supposed to lead into a match at Hell in a Cell on October 28th. Zack Ryder is featured on the cover of the latest issues of WWE Kids magazine. The Raw superstar excitedly tweeted a photo of the issue. JBL, that's John Bradshaw Layfield, for those that don't know, was dressed as a appearance on Raw last night at the announce booth via Twitter. Yes, back on at WWE Raw with my burden at Michael Cole, like Usain Bolt having to run with the crutches, being with coleslaw. And now for the spoilers for Superstars. According to one report, WWE taped 2 matches for Superstars in Bridgeport, Connecticut, prior to Raw. Ted DiBiase pinned JTG. Drew McIntyre pinned Jinder Mahal. One of those matches will only be on Superstars. The other one was a dark match. Well, Zim attended Monday's Raw in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and sent the following report. Dark match, Ted DiBiase defeated JTG, and Drew McIntyre defeated Jinder Mahal. McIntyre played the babyface, which was a pleasant surprise, and that was a Superstars match. So, tomorrow night's taping, they must be doing 2 or 3 matches from the SmackDown brand. And now for your Raw, live from the USA Network, from Bridgeport, Connecticut, at the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard. The opening montage kicked off the show. Michael Cole checked in on commentary and spoke about being 24 hours removed from controversy at Night of Champions. Well, they played it off like it was stupid. And they even said that there was a YouTube video showing the footage, and that was removed by John Cena's request. Now, why would they remove a video that was that's actually the evidence that would prove that John Cena's shoulders was up? That was kind of strange in WWE's point of view. CM Punk's entrance music played, and Paul Heyman walked out with a smile on his face as Heyman entered the ring instead with two white ropes and 1 pink rope. It was noticeable that Cole was alone at the broadcast table to start off. Heyman said he got to witness history at Night of Champions. He said the end of the match was embroiled in controversy. He said that in the interest of clarity, he asked referee Chad Patton to come to the ring to defend his decision to the WWE Universe. Patton walked to the ring. What controversy? John Cena's shoulders were down. CM Punk's shoulders were down. It was a double pin. I'm not sure why they are playing this up as a controversy. But I saw a replay myself. Even they showed it on the replay on screen during the pay-per-view. If they wanted it to be controversy, they should have done that with Cena lifting the shoulder. But he did lift both shoulders as he did this number. And you can even see the air between the mat and his shoulders. So, controversy versus controversy, I go with controversy. Heyman pointed to an image on the big screen that showed the shoulders of both men were down. Heyman and Patton agreed, and Patton made the right decision. Heyman also directed Patton to watch the fan cam footage of the closing moments of the main event of Night of Champions. Heyman said that the tie goes to the champion. The match was a draw, and the champion is still CM Punk. Well, John Cena's music played, and he headed to the ring wearing his pink and black gear that he was very similar to what he wore during the pay-per-view match. Heyman tried to speak, but Cena cut him off and told him to shut up. Cena said he agrees with Heyman in that Patton had made the right call. Just playing it off because this feud's supposed to go all the way up till January as the advertised event. And then they even have advertised Cena versus Punk here in Bossier City area. Well, anyway, Cena said that those fans know his technical skills, and they know it wasn't him who removed the YouTube footage, as Heyman insinuated during his promo. Cena recalled telling Patton at the pay-per-view that the finish was like having the Super Bowl end in a tie. He asked the fans if they wanted to see the match end in a draw. Cena said Punk has always clamored for respect. He asked Heyman whether Punk earned respect by retaining the title in a tie. Since you value my opinion, I will give you your answer in one single word, Heyman replied. Yes. A small no chant started. Cena said Patton made the right call, but he wants to find out who the winner is going to be. Cena said they should relive Night of Champions once again. He said he was there, they had a ref, and all they needed is Punk. Heyman said he's sure that Punk will be happy to tell Cena what the things his challenge straight to his face once he arrives. Heyman said hearing it from him is the same as hearing it from Punk, because I am the voice of the voiceless. Cena started talking, but he was interrupted, and Alberto Del Rio's entrance music played. Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez walked onto stage. Rodriguez this time is supporting his white neck brace. As they walked onto the stage and headed towards the ring, Del Rio claimed that he never had a shot in his title match because the Brogue Kick was banned 2 weeks ago, only to be reinstated right before his title match. Del Rio said that he was completely ready for Sheamus because of this and thus deserves a rematch. Well, AJ Lee's music plays, and she skips to Malou to around the ring before entering. AJ said maybe both men deserve second chances. She said she was going to combine them and make a Superman event. She announces that Punk and Del Rio would team to face Sheamus and John Cena. She said that the winner of the match could go a long way in determining whether there will be a rematch and who will be in it. Heyman was pleased, so he chased after AJ, and she skips to Malou to the back. A shot aired of Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio walking backstage. Coleslaw said that they would team up after the break. As they go to commercial, the live crowd wasn't all that rowdy. I can't blame them for not getting excited about the main event after they teased them with Punk vs. Cena rematch and were given the predictable tag match instead. The tag match would have seemed just fine had it not been for the tease. Then again, it's not like the live crowd really bought in when Cena teased at the possibility of a Night of Champions main event rematch. Maybe it's just a tough crowd. Either way, I'm not a fan of building up the crowd with something big and then expecting them to be excited about something less significant. A graphic touted that Night of Champions was more socially active than any network television show. Coleslaw was shown wearing a Long Live the King t-shirt. He updated viewers on Jerry Lawler's condition and set up the tout video that they had recorded on WWE.com this from last week. Cole said that he absolutely fantastic, incredible news. He said Lawler had touched down in Memphis. He said that he knows Lawler is watching and wished him well. And this is Coleslaw's face turn because JBL is a heel announcer. He said they would have footage of Lawler returning to Memphis later in the show, and they did, and teased an exclusive interview for next week, which they also did. All wonderful news. Michael Cole was so over the top giddy that you would have thought he was running for office. Don't get me wrong, Cole has every right to be happy that his friend is recovering just as we all are, but it came across like he was directed to flash a big smile and make it seem like as a feel good as possible. Ring announcer Justin Roberts introduced JBL. Once JBL took his seat, Roberts introduced JR. Coleslaw said it was an absolute treat that Ross was back joining them on commentary and ran through the history as they all shook hands as everybody was seated. Coleslaw offered his hand to Ross, who shook it, and JBL's hand, and then shook it. Like I said, everybody shook hands. And Ross briefly spoke about how proud he was of Cole's work last week, as he was by himself, and just said he wasn't going to commentate the rest of the evening. Match number 1, Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus Primo and Epico with Rosa. Mysterio and Sin Cara had their separate entrances, and Primo and Epico were already in the ring. And JR noted that Kane and Daniel Bryan won the tag titles at Night of Champions, and said Primo and Epico were looking to get in the hunt. The match cut to commercial a little over a minute into the match. What are they doing? Copying TNA? TNA did that several times on Thursday's Impact. .net member Zim was at the show and notes that there is an upside down Miz logo next to Brodus Clay's disco ball. Expect a dance off, Zim wrote. After the break, Mysterio performed a double 619 on his opponent. He performed a senton onto Primo at ringside, and then Sin Cara hit the Swanton Bomb on Epico for the win. Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara defeated Primo and Epico 6 minutes 45 seconds. After the match, primetime players attacked Mysterio and Sin Cara, and Titus O'Neil took the mic at ringside and complained about having the number 1 contender spot taken away from them. O'Neil said that they are going to take what they want. And Darren Young chimed in briefly and said the same thing. O'Neil showed some good fire and wasn't doing the millions of dollars silliness. Young seemed like he may still be in the clown mode, but he didn't say enough to make it clear O'Neil was much more interesting in his role. The announcers hyped the main event and then spoke about the partnership with Komen.org. They pointed out that the ring ropes and their logos on the entrance ramp that plugs the charity, a video from a breast cancer fighter was shown. It was the same video that was shown at the Night of Champions. Coleslaw promoted the debut of Miz TV and said his special guest would be SmackDown General Manager Booker T. That explains the Miz's logo. It beats the hell out of the dance-off that .net member Zim suspected would be seeing. Match number 2, Eve versus Beth Phoenix, in the sloppiest minute and a half of a match. In a non-title match, Layla joined the announcers on commentary. JBL mocked the suspicion surrounding Eve by saying he doesn't believe Jesse Ventura's wild conspiracy theories either. Funny, Layla defended her suspicion and said that she made the mistake of giving Eve the benefit of the doubt and taking her eye off the prize. Lost my spot. Alright. Okay, there we go. Late in the match, Eve slipped off of Beth Phoenix's shoulders and rolled her up for the pin. After the match, Eve walked to ringside and retrieved her title. She held it up right in front of Layla, who stood up and glared at her. Eve walked around ringside with the title belt. As my daughter leaves the set. Okay, so Eve won in a minute and 40 seconds. The announcers hyped the tag team main event. Commercial aired for WWE Saturday Morning Slam that teased The Miz, Zack Ryder, and a special appearance by CM Punk. Supposedly championship slam this week. Brodus Clay with Cameron that has returned, and Naomi. Cameron returns from her 15-day suspension versus Heath Slater, the one-man rock band, who also is supposedly a daddy this week. As I found on Twitter, he announced that he's already a dad. So we're going to have Wendy's Poster Child 2. Clay performed his full entrance routine. Clay didn't get an entrance. Clay didn't get an entrance, and as Antonio Cesaro sat in on commentary while Oksana stood by. Cesaro badmouthed Clay and ended up getting up before the match was over. Clay finished off Slater with a splash, which Coleslaw is calling splat. Clay danced with about 6, 7, 8 kids in the ring, and Brodus won the match in 2 minutes. A shot aired of The Miz walking backstage. Cole hyped the debut of Miz TV. Coleslaw said viewers may want to set their DVRs. Not. Cesaro goes from feuding with Santino to feuding with Clay. I really wish they were putting him in there with another quality worker. Well, he's a big dude, so this is a good setup, as Brodus actually gets some competition. Cole and Ross put over the big smiles of the kids and how it's a memory that will last a lifetime. Now, this may be worth saving. Will one of those kids be a future superstar? How many current superstars have been at WWE events in the past? I know of a few. Randy Orton was one. Edge was another. How many more can y'all name? Please comment, and I will see if I can see that in some research. The monthly Idiotic SmackDown aired, where they asked who the champion is, even though we've already found out before it's actually shown. The ad also focused on Wade Barrett. The Miz made his entrance and stood on stage. He asked what you give an Intercontinental Champion who has everything. He said you get him his very own talk show. Miz headed to the ring where the WWE logo was hanging upside down. There were 2 couches, black couches, and two director's chairs inside the ring. Later on in this segment, it's set up leading to, well, of course, it's Booker T as his first guest. Miz welcomed the viewer to the TV show. He said there was one thing missing from Piper's Pit, the cutting edge, and the highlight reel. And it was the one thing that was missing. He said Roddy Piper, Chris Jericho, and Edge were never a controversial, charismatic, or as awesome as he is, promoting himself. Miz asked why Booker T is against him and why he had banned the Brogue Kick. Miz said it's because Booker misses the spotlight. He put the mic in Booker's face and immediately removed it as Booker was about to speak. Miz continued to goad him about his time being over. A group of fans chanted, "Boring!" Booker pulled the mic away from him. JBL said he couldn't agree more with the boring chant and said good for Booker T. Booker said he thinks it's time for Miz to get a new guest for his show. He said it's a superstar who he is used to beating multiple challengers at one time. Cue Ryback's music, and he walked down onto the stage to a decent reaction. And what does he want? Feed me more chants. Feed me more. Ryback headed to the ring as Booker left. The Miz left the ring and watched as Ryback threw a couch in Miz's direction and followed up with a director's chair and then the other couch. The fans at ringside flinched when one of the chairs was thrown. Ryback picked up the second couch, as you're supposed to do, bend your knees and lift up. And he actually lifted it up over his shoulders and threw it about, I guess it was about 30 or 40 something feet. Which was at the Miz, who ran up the aisle to avoid it. Ryback led the crowd in chanting, "Feed me more." At ringside, Coleslaw spoke about Jerry Lawler and noted that he was joined by JBL and Ross tonight instead. Cole set up the Lawler tout again. Michael Coleslaw said Lawler had returned to Memphis watching Raw and asked JBL and Ross to say hello. Ross and JBL both sent along their greetings as Coleslaw plugged an exclusive interview with Lawler for next week as they go to commercial break. Miz's first show was weak. It didn't help that none of his claims about being more controversial than Edge, Jericho, and especially Piper seemed ridiculous. I guess that's what they were looking for. But it just didn't work. Miz isn't positioned in a way that makes viewers want to hear him talk as much as he did. But it's better than listening to Vicky Guerrero scream, "Excuse me!" Well, for that matter, he is a good talker in terms of his delivery. He really doesn't say anything special that commands attention. Don't have him tell us he's controversial. Have him do something to show us that he's controversial. Oh, and it looks like Ryback will be taking the Intercontinental title in the near future. Backstage segment, CM Punk and Paul Heyman were shown talking. Josh Matthews popped up and apologized for interrupting. And why did you interrupt? Heyman said. Matthews asked Punk if he's looking forward to teaming with Del Rio. Punk said he's not looking forward to teaming up with anyone. Punk said it's another example of rampant disrespect. He said he walked into the Night of Champions as a WWE champion and left as a WWE champion. Punk slapped the mic away from Matthews and walked off. JBL noted that Punk had been champion for 303 days. Santino Marella made his entrance. Then Miss Vicky Guerrero introduced Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero versus Santino Marella. Raw said Ziggler's match with Orton could have gone either way. Ziggler took the Cobra away early and called Santino a joke. Santino made a comeback and tried to get the Cobra, but Vicky took it. Dolph took advantage of the distraction, hit his finisher twice, and pinned him. And that match took 4 minutes and 5 seconds out of our lives. Talking about boring? That was the boring match. Footage aired of the Night of Champions of Kane and Daniel Bryan, both claiming that they were both the single tag team champions. The announcers hyped that Kane and Daniel Bryan would defend the tag titles in a rematch against Kofi Kingston and R-Truth later in the show as they go to commercial. Ziggler lost to Orton during the pay-per-view clean and followed up with a win over Santino. There's plenty of time left in the show, but I must say that I was still hoping for something bigger from Ziggler on the show. Meanwhile, I'm hopeful that they are going with a tag title rematch tonight and then blowing off the Kofi and Truth tag team for good so that Kingston can get back to being a singles wrestler. Highlights aired from SmackDown of Wade Barrett saying he's open for business. Wade Barrett open for business just like Donna Pinciotti was on Bob's Dream. Either way, I'll take open for business over the horrible Barrett's Barrage anytime. Wade Barrett versus Justin Gabriel. Well, you got the former tag team members fighting against each other. NXT versus NXT, or the core members fighting against each other. Well, I was hearing a We Want Nexus as Wade Barrett was asked on his Facebook account. He is not bringing back Nexus to counter out what the WWE Gaming website has said for WWE 13. So Barrett dominated the match and hit Gabriel with numerous punches to the head and ribs. A loud "We Want Nexus" chant breaks out again. Coleslaw even acknowledged those chants and noted Barrett's involvement. Gabriel ended up getting a 2 count after 2 moves of offense. A cool spot in the match with Justin Gabriel giving a springboard moonsault. But Barrett came back and put him away with a knockout punch, which was nothing more than a short clothesline kind of a punch. He just brought him back, more like a forearm punch instead. And the match took 4 minutes and 5 seconds out of our lives. And I announces hype the tag team main event. I'm with the crowd. I don't care about the bare knuckles boxer, Barrett. Might as well call him KBB. Or actually BKBB. Bare knuckle boxer, Barrett. But I love the leader of the faction, Barrett. The crowd was really flat during the match. Oh, and Coleslaw even mentioned Barrett's garage again. Backstage, R-Truth was holding a birthday party. No, it wasn't for Kofi Kingston. No, it wasn't for Little Jimmy. It was for Asshat Jared from Subway. Oh, crap. It's Subway's birthday. They've been announcing it all year round. Jarrett handed out some sandwiches to the former tag champs. Damian Sandow walks in and does his little 2 cents worth. And then Zack Ryder comes in, asking his opinion to Jarrett. Said, why not have him a special sandwich as well? Well, they said, I'll go back to the individual sandwiches with that was given to R-Truth, which were turkey sandwiches, or something like chicken and turkey. And then Sandow, I forgot what he was given. And then again, what's his Sandow's meatball sub, meatball marinara, and of course you had what's his face? Ryback came in, and he said, "Feed me more." That was encouraging. So instead, Jared gives him 2 sandwiches, 1 for each hand. Right after that, what's his face? Ryder had gotten his, and had still left about 4 or 5 sandwiches left on the table. No! Why the hell can't Subway find a new spokesman? Jared was super fat. He ate a bunch of subs, and now he's just a douchey looking. How in the hell he has parlayed this into a lifelong job is beyond me. Join me in boycotting Subway until they find a new spokesman. Eat it, Jimmy John's, Blink Bonnie's, Blimpies, or any other sub sandwich restaurant that doesn't employ this androgynous freak. Backstage segment, Sheamus was there. Sheamus said there was no better feeling than beating Del Rio at the pay-per-view. Cena was distracted as he was just staring at something. He said he needed to justify getting his rematch, so they have to make a statement, just not win. Sheamus was in happy-go-lucky mode and spoke about all the things that they could toast to after the match. He even mentioned Mexican Independence Day and said they would toast to it, even once he was informed it was actually today. I mean, it wasn't actually today. Because the Mexican Independence Day is actually Cinco de Mayo. And that's May 5th. For those that don't know, you better call somebody. Daniel Bryan ran through the back yelling that he's the tag team champions. Kane did the same as they go to commercial. And now they showed the footage of Jerry Lawler landing in Memphis as it was in it. As he was reunited with his lifesaver doctor, the EMT, that saved his life from Raw last week. Kind of looked like they were brothers and what have you, or kind of looked like Brooklyn Brawler a little bit. Ring introductions for the tag team title took place. Daniel Bryan and Kane versus R-Truth and Kofi Kingston for the WWE tag titles. The champs did their usual bickering before the match. Kingston dumped them both to ringside heading into the break. After the break, Kingston hit Kane with a series of punches in the corner and got some fans to count along. Kane came back with a Kane came back and was setting up for the chokeslam when Bryan tagged himself in. Kane and Bryan bickered and shoved one another. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Kingston tags in R-Truth for the second night in a row. Cole Saw said Truth was juking and jiving. Truth worked over Bryan until he made a hot tag to Kane at 11 minutes in the match. Kane got the better of Truth and was about to chokeslam him when he noticed that Bryan was going to tag himself in again. Kane grabbed Bryan by the throat. Truth ended up taking a distracted Kane down and had him pinned, but Bryan made a save. Short time later, Kane chokeslammed Truth and Bryan tagged in and applied the Borgasm lock for the win. Afterwards, Bryan held up the titles and proclaimed it himself. He had both tag belts, and he was the tag team champions. Kane took the belts and did the same. Bryan mellowed out and told Kane that people wanted to see him hug, because the crowd was chanting, "Hug it out, hug it out." JBL objected on commentary. Kane and Bryan hugged and got a favorable reaction from the live crowd. Clearly, Kingston and Truth would have won the tag titles back had they not accepted sandwiches from the Freak. The live crowd was flat during the entire match. I don't think that I'm the tag team champion stuff is working. Even the hug got a mild reaction compared to the pay-per-view itself. It's hard to say whether it's a losing stem or if it's just a tough crowd. Footage aired of Stephanie McMahon, Big Show, and David Otunga at Be a Star event in Connecticut. A shot aired of Randy Orton walking backstage as they go to commercial. That explains why Big Show was in Bridgeport earlier today, supposedly. It remains to be seen whether he'll appear on the show. If he's still a heel, I hope he sits out this week, since this would spoil the surprise, and it's hard to look menacing after being not being nice to a gym full of kids. Match number 7, Randy Orton versus Tensai with Sakamoto. It took Orton just over a minute to cuss and be censored after taking a shot from Tensai in the corner. It's comical at this point. Tensai controlled the bulk of the offense, but Orton came back late and finished off Tensai with an RKO for the win. Ross put over the way Orton wheeled his way back into the match and survived the onslaught from Tensai. Because right after his draping DDT, he was laying to the crowd and did his spin, do his little push-up thing, and waiting for Tensai to get off. When he goes for the RKO, Tensai pushes Orton off, and Orton kind of like slingshots him Irish whips him to the corner, it does the scoop. Well, actually, you did the scoop slam again from Michael Cole. It's not a power slam, because a power slam is when you pick up the guy first and not catch him off the ropes. Pick the guy up, walk around the ring, and then power slam. That's a power slam. A scoop slam is when you catch the guy off the ropes and use his weight again with yourself and fall with him. So, and by the way, thanks to .NET reader Jacob Martin, noted that Bridgeport Be a Star footage was actually shown, that was shown from last March, was the same one. So, it was wrong with the report earlier that it had occurred earlier today, as they said on Raw. Backstage segment, David Otunga and Alberto Del Rio approached Paul Heyman and CM Punk. Otunga told Del Rio that he expects Punk to follow his lead. Heyman said Punk has has been champion for 303 days and takes the lead from no one. Otunga said Punk looks like he sleeps in a box. Heyman said Del Rio should buy a time machine and go back to Survivor Series when Punk beat him for the title. Punk said he's looking forward to teaming with Del Rio, who replied that it will be an honor. Damien Sandow mocked the kids over it being his favorite season. Back to school. He said he was there to prepare the kids. He told JR that the slobber knocker is not a word. He taught the kids temerity and used it in a sentence. He taught them ignoramus and used it as an example. Should have included Jared. He also used the word miscreant and used it in a sentence. And then he was interrupted by Zack Ryder, who taught him shut up and said the third word. That he wanted to teach him 2 words, and then actually 3 words tonight. Shut up now. Well, now is the cue as they go to commercial break. Yeah, he actually said now, only for the show to go to commercial break. Join in progress, match in progress. Match number 8, Damien Sandow versus Zack Ryder. Could this be the match of the night? Main event? Well, we'll see. Well, no, that's right, because the actual tag team match was sure enough, the match was joined in progress. It was kind of around time for JBL, who complained about how woo 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 isn't even a word, and then boasted of his Twitter superiority. Ryder got plenty of offense, but Sandow came back and put him away with his finisher, neck breaker. Damien Sandow won the match in 5 minutes 30 seconds of TV time. Footage aired of Lawler landing and hugging the doctor who saved his life. Coleslaw hyped the exclusive interview with Jerry Lawler next week. Coleslaw also hyped the tag team main event after the break. The wrestlers worked hard and probably deserved more attention from the broadcast team, but it's rare to get that hype from a comical rant from a heel color commentator these days, so no complaints. An ad for SmackDown tease that the Brogue Kick controversy continues. Good Lord, entrances for the main event, even tag match, took place. Cena invited viewers to walk with him because it was time for him to go to work. The heel introductions took place. Ricardo Rodriguez handled the Del Rio introduction. Punk was accompanied to the ring by Heyman. Punk mocked a fan on his way to the ring. Punk did the long pose with the title belt in the middle of the ring before the bell rang. As they go to commercial, match number 9, John Cena and Sheamus versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman and Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez. The opening bell sounded as soon as they returned from the break. Punk and Cena were set to square off, but Punk immediately tagged in Del Rio and acted like his shoulder was hurting. Coleslaw noted that it was 5 years ago today that Sheamus arrived in the United States from Dublin, Ireland. .net reader Justin Madden noted that the referee for the match was NXT FCW referee Brad Maddox. At 6 minutes 15 seconds in, Sheamus was getting the better of Del Rio, but he had to turn and take a shot at Punk, who was lunging at him. Del Rio used the opening to take him down with a neck backstabber. As it goes past the 10 o'clock hour, the show only goes about 6 to 7 minutes more. Punk tagged in and drop kicked Sheamus' knee. You want to be a tough guy? Mocked Punk. Later, Punk and Cena simultaneously tagged into the match. Cena got the better of the initial exchange and applied the STF. Del Rio broke it up, only to eat a brogue kick from Sheamus. Punk took out Sheamus. Cena finished off the sequence by performing the Attitude Adjustment and went for the cover. The referee counted the pin, even though Punk had his foot on the bottom rope. Cena and Sheamus celebrated the win and left the ring. Punk and Heyman protested. The referee could be heard saying that he counted the 3 and didn't see Punk's foot. And the referee actually looked like he could be a wrestler. His hairdo kind of reminded me of Mick Patrick's hairdo. The referee headed backstage with Punk and Heyman following. Punk said the referee saw the replay and had to see that his foot was on the rope. My foot was on the rope, Punk yelled again as they headed to the back to end the show. So, John Cena and Sheamus defeated CM Punk and Alberto Del Rio in 10 minutes 25 seconds. And just for those that don't know, new referee Brad Maddox, if that's what they was called in from developmental, was set up as the rookie making a mistake. My guess is a Punk protests, and the solution is put to another obstacle, more controversy, in front of Cena before they officially announce the rematch for Hell in a Cell. After all, the pay-per-view doesn't take place until October 28th. They got it like 6 weeks, I guess. So they have plenty of shows between now and then, which is why they didn't dive straight into the Hell in a Cell hype tonight. Overall, the show continues to drag due to the extra hour. I was hoping it would begin to feel like the norm, but I feel it is just too much of an investment to ask the average fan to make every Monday. Thanks for watching along with me tonight. And as usual, Tuesday night is SmackDown pay-per-view. SmackDown spoilers night. And after that, I will, after it's posted, I will give my point of view along with the spoilers. And that ends my ranting and raving for Monday Night Raw and partial superstars for this week. Peace out. God bless. Thanks for watching.